My brothers and sisters in Christ, today's gospel passage is one that should be very challenging to us. It should be unsettling. Why? Well, we see the two characters. We see this rich man who we should notice isn't even named. You can immediately figure out the man that's assigned a greater dignity, compassion. The poor man, the beggar's name is Lazarus in this story. But it's easy to dismiss the rich man because there's very much a stigma in the parables of the gospel of rich people. And often we can jump to the conclusion that it's just because they're rich and say, well, I'm not rich. This story doesn't apply to me. Well, here's the problem. Yes, there is an intentionality of going after the rich, but it's not the richness itself that is the great sin here. It's what all too often goes with it. And those are attitudes that we can easily carry without being rich. What is the problem ultimately in play in this story? And that is that the rich man, does he mistreat Lazarus? I'm switching this to a question. We should note, is he recorded in the parable saying anything wrong to Lazarus, doing anything to Lazarus? He's not. But he's indifferent to him. Said differently, he ignores him. There is this poor man at his door every day. One can almost, with one's imagination, picture Lazarus just stepping over him, going out his home every day. The man clearly is there day after day in plight, and Lazarus, with the abundance he has, ignores Lazarus. And then, as the story goes on after death, the presumptuousness that he says, send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in the water on my tongue. Now he's treating Lazarus as if he's a servant. Send that guy over here to cool my tongue for me. This is a pairing of attitudes that are very dangerous, and one does not need money to have them. That is, that we can carry such a self-centeredness that we become oblivious to the plight of those around us. And it doesn't have to mean just the poor or the homeless, but it can also be the emotionally distraught, those carrying many burdens, those we associate with, that we can ignore and inherently undermine their dignity by our own self-absorption. When we care only about what's going on with us, our own indulgence, our own inflated sense of importance, when we become the center of our own universe to the point of dismissing those around us, we are just as guilty as the rich man in this parable. There are so many things wrong in the world, and you and I cannot fix all of them, nor are we asked to. But the gospel constantly asks us to do what we can to the person in front of us. There are so many ways we can be charitable. When there's opportunities for material aid, we should. Sometimes there's nothing to be done. In those moments, we can still be kind. We can be compassionate. We can recognize the dignity of the other person. This is true, for example, often in downtown Houston here. We know that we often have the homeless, the street beggars, the others among us. Sometimes there's people that can be helped in a practical way. Something can be given. Sometimes there's not, or sometimes it's not a good idea to. Sometimes it's a scam. Sometimes people are ranting or raving. Maybe there's not much that can be done, but we can still be kind. Don't dismiss. Don't ignore. This is the other side of the gospel parable of the Last Judgment, what you did or did not do for the least of my brothers. Not just about doing, but to even recognize, to see. Do I see the brother in my midst? Do I see my brother on my doorstep? Are there people around me that I don't give the time of day? These too carry the face of Christ in his most distressing of disguises. One day will Christ ask why we ignored him? May God bless you all.